So here in the column we will see that on the basis of the arrival of the cyclones, I have categorized them into two types. First, those cyclones that they come in the month of April and May, they are often known as pre-monsoon cyclones, and those cyclones that occur or come in the month of October to December, they are known as post-monsoon cyclones. Pre-monsoon because it's before the arrival of the monsoon they occur, and post-monsoon it's because these type of cyclones come after the monsoon. So we'll see what are the basic properties of these two type of cyclones in detail. First of all, this April and May month cyclones are in situ in origin. What do you mean by in situ in origin? They are created over here in the Bay of Bengal itself. So that's why they are called as in situ, and these are ex situ. What is ex situ? These type of cyclones are the remnants of the cyclonic system that are created in the Pacific Ocean or the Indian Ocean. So these are ex situ. They are the remnants created over there, and they enter to the Indian territory or the Bay of Bengal area. But these April-May month cyclones, they are created over here. Here you will notice one thing, that a cyclone, the more the time spends over the surface of the sea, the more severe it becomes. So if we compare these two cyclones, we will find the April and May month cyclones, they originate over here. As a result, they travel very less distance. But in contrast to these cyclones, the October and December cyclones, as we said earlier, these are the remnants of the cyclones that are formed in Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. So they travel a lot of distance. As a result, what these cyclones, they get sufficient amount of time to accumulate more moisture in them, and also as a result they grow in size. They become bigger and bigger in size in comparison to the April and May months cyclones. So it's clear over here why these post-monsoon cyclones are more severe. It's because they travel a lot of distance. As a result of which they acquire more in size as well as intensity, because they carry with them lots of moisture. So these are more severe and these are less severe. Now the third difference is that these pre-monsoon cyclones are less frequent. They don't come very often, but in general most of the cyclones that we encounter are the post-monsoon cyclones. Their occurrence is frequent, so they are more frequent. Why it is so? You will see this Bay of Bengal area is three-sided landlocked. You will notice it is three-sided landlocked in a very triangular shape. So what happens, even though the specific heat of the water body is more, but in this area, up to the depth of around 60 to 70 meters, the water, the surface water, it heats up or it captures heat within. So as a result of which it also becomes low pressure area. Just be careful over here. The surface water over this area is warmer. Why it is so? Because as it is a three-sided landlocked, so it just what happens, it captures the heat and it doesn't allow it to escape through. So this area becomes also a zone of low pressure area zones. And what happens, those heat, they get trapped in the surface water in the form of pockets, not like they are spread evenly throughout the water. So they're trapped in the form of pockets, and one of those pockets, they become a center for low pressure center for cyclonic origin. So these conditions are not frequent. It may happen, it may not happen. The local condition may prevail over here. So these conditions is rare. It may happen or it may not happen. That's why the origin of these pre-monsoon cyclone is not often. But in contrast to that, when we will see the post-monsoon cyclones, we will see that during this period of time, October and December, the water bodies over here, they get sufficient amount of time to get warmed up. It's not the surface only, as here we have discussed, the water heats up to the surface level only. It's up to the depth, to the larger depth, that the water gets warmed up and acquires the heat within. And during that period of time, this becomes the low pressure zone. This becomes act as the low pressure zone, and the cyclones originate over here. So that is the condition is frequent, because this is very conducive condition, because the more the time it gets, the water body gets, the more warmer it becomes. Now we'll discuss about what are the factors that determine the direction of the cyclones. Even though lots of factors, lots of things come into play when the direction of the cyclone is concerned, but we will try to see what are the important factors which basically decides the cyclone directions. The most important out of it is the Coriolis force. What do you mean with Coriolis force? Coriolis force is basically a rotating force that is created by the rotation of the earth, as a result of which it deflects the winds towards the right direction in northern hemisphere and towards the left direction in south hemisphere. So in south hemisphere, the winds are deflected towards the left. Like if the wind is traveling here, it gets deflected towards the left, and if a wind is traveling here, it gets deflected towards the right. So this is in general rule. A Coriolis force deflects the wind towards the right in north hemisphere and towards the left in the south hemisphere. So what happens when these low pressure zones are created, as we know that those pre-monsoon cyclones, when they are created, they get deflect over here, as we know that they will be deflected towards the right. Okay, so they're deflected towards the right. But it is not only the factor that comes into play. The other factor is that the low pressure pockets. You must have heard the news when they talk about the cyclone's direction. They always say that the cyclone may hit here, may come here, there is always a uncertainty factor always associated with the direction of the cyclone. Why it is so? Because as I have mentioned you earlier, in this Bay of Bengal area, the low pressure are present in the form of small pockets. It's not that they eventually spread over here. They're present in small pockets, and for this the local factors are responsible. So what happens as a result, if a cyclone is created over here, it gets connected to this pocket, and again if a pocket is there, if a low pressure pocket is there, it just deflects toward here. If a pocket is here, it moves here. So that's why the direction is unpredictable, because there are so many low pressure pockets present there. It gets connected and acquires the size. So that's why the direction is always unpredictable. The same thing also happens for those post-monsoon cyclones. The post-monsoon cyclones, because like if they come over here comes our rule, because the winds entering to the north hemisphere, they will deflect towards the right. So those cyclonic systems that come from the Pacific Ocean or Indian Ocean, while they cross the equator over here, they enter to the north hemisphere. As a result, they deflect towards the right. The same thing goes for the unpredictability. It also applies to these post-monsoon cyclone also, because when they come, they grow in size and they just get connected to these small pockets, and that's why they are also unpredictable in size. So in general, every cyclone is, you never know about the direction of the cyclones, because they come into the action of the force of the Coriolis force, and what happens now, they eventually gets connected to the other low pressure pocket areas, and if they acquire its size, they also get bigger and bigger in size as they get connected over these small pockets. So that is the reason why the direction is always unpredictable. Now I will share another interesting aspect related to cyclone, is that you will always notice that the cyclones are created always in the east coast. You will notice that all the cyclones that they originate or they travel over the east coast of Bay of Bengal. Why it is so that the cyclones they get originated and they travel to all this east coast? What's the reason? The reason is that we know that the planetary winds, those are the trade winds. These trade winds are responsible for deflecting the low pressure cyclonic systems over the east coast, because we know that because of Coriolis force, these planetary wind gets deflected towards the right. These are the trade winds. So when they are deflected towards the right, they also deflect this cyclonic systems, low pressure cyclonic system, towards the east coast of the Bay of Bengal. Same thing goes over here. The wind coming from here, these are the trade winds. So as we know that these are the winds from the south hemisphere, so they must be deflected towards the left, as we have discussed earlier. They also push the low pressure cyclonic systems towards the east coast of this Bay of Bengal. So it's a very interesting thing that most of the cyclonic system that they originate in the east coast of the Bay of Bengal because of the action of the planetary winds or the trade winds. The trade winds here in the north hemisphere, they are deflected towards the right because of the Coriolis force, and the trade winds over here in the south hemisphere, they deflect towards the left because of the Coriolis force. This is the in general rule. As a result of which, any low pressure system that has been created in the surface, they are deflected towards the east side of the Bay of Bengal. So it's clear in general that why these cyclonic systems are towards the east coast of the Bay of Bengal. It's because of the action of these planetary wind systems or the trade winds, right? So it's time to conclude our class. Before that, we'll see our friend is happy or not. Yes, he seems to be very happy because he has, before the beginning of the class, he was supposed to be answered with all his 3 questions, and I think I'm a little bit successful in clearing his doubt. I hope so. So, what were his previous doubts? He was first concerned why the cyclones come in the month of April and May, or the October and December. Is it the fixed timetable? So I think we have answered why those, because the cyclones are in general pre-monsoon cyclones and the post-monsoon cyclones. So we have discussed that also. We also discussed the severity, why those April and May month cyclones or the pre-monsoon cyclones are less severe in nature in comparison to the post-monsoon cyclones. And what are the factors that decides the severity of a cyclone? The more the cyclone spends the time on the surface of the sea, the more severe it becomes, or the more bigger and bigger size it acquires. Unpredictability, we discussed in the direction, that why the direction of the cyclones is always uncertain, because they keep on joining with the other low pressure zones or the pocket areas, and so their distribution is not even. So that's why if a low pressure pocket is here, someone is here, someone is here, so the cyclone originated, it gets connected here, it gets connected here, it goes there, it goes in there. So the direction is never sure. So that unpredictability is also we have decided, we've discussed. And the bonus thing that we have discussed is about why the cyclones in general occur in the east coast of the Bay of Bengal. It's because when the cyclones always come in the action of or in the influence of those planetary trade winds, and that's why they get deflected towards the east. So this was a in general discussion on the cyclone. Cyclone is a very vast topic, so it requires lots of concepts and principles, theories to get understand the things going. But I have tried to present before you in the simplest form possible from my side. So any suggestions, any compliments, comments is always welcome. So as I mentioned that I'm not an expert, so your compliments and your suggestions will help me to grow. So thank you all of you. We wind up the class here and we will see you in the next class. So till then, thank you all of you.